how Prabowo can flip Trump's art of the deal. President Prabowo wants to meet Trump in person after America slapped a 32% tariff on Indonesian products. Trump wants Indonesia to buy more American goods and open its market, but how should Indonesia respond? Well, Indonesia doesn't have to give up more than it needs to, and if it plays this right, it can shape the deal on its own terms. Trump may have written the art of the deal, but Indonesia can out-negotiate the self-proclaimed master dealmaker. Trump likes bold announcements, big numbers, and headline wins, but if you look closer at how these trade deals really unfold, we see a pattern. Other countries promise just enough to stay in the game, then delay, dilute, or dodge the details, and America doesn't always push back hard. That's a playbook Indonesia can use. And this playbook has been used successfully before. Back in 2007, India and America made a symbolic deal, Indian mangoes for Harley-Davidson motorcycles. But India kept tariffs high, and even when they dropped 50% during Trump's first term, it wasn't enough. Cheaper local brands dominated, and Harley India shut down in 2020. And in Trump's first term, they went back and forth on similar tariffs. And now, in Trump's second term, the same issues are still on the table, unresolved. And India isn't the only one. China made even bigger promises and delivered just as little. In 2020, Trump made a major trade deal with China called the Phase 1 Agreement. China committed to buying an extra $200 billion worth of American goods and services over 2 years. That included energy, manufacturing, agriculture, and more. But in the end, China only met around half of the target. Some of this was due to COVID, but also because China just relabeled existing imports as new and didn't even follow through with the rest. And did America enforce the deal? No, not really. Many issues remain, but there was little follow-up. This is typical of Trump's trade style: go for the big headline and then move on. That gives countries room to maneuver, and China took full advantage. So where does that leave Indonesia? The core issue for Trump in Indonesia isn't reform, it's the trade imbalance. America runs a trade deficit in Indonesia, meaning it buys more from it than it sells to it. And Trump sees that as losing. What he really wants is for Indonesia to buy more American goods and quickly claim a win. Today, Trump has threatened a 32% tariff on Indonesian goods, and in response, Indonesian officials have suggested possible concessions, reducing import taxes on American steel, electronics, and health equipment, and increasing purchases of soybeans, LPG, and industrial components. That sounds like a lot, but while Trump mostly cares about trade numbers, some American complaints go deeper. Some of those complaints are tied to issues that Indonesia might want to fix anyway. But with trade tensions high, Indonesia doesn't need to give away everything. It can be smart about what it offers and when. Here's how. Do it in phases. Lower tariffs for just a few American products like specialty steel that Indonesia doesn't produce, and set quotas to cap the volume. It sounds like a big move, but changes little. Repackage what they're already buying. Indonesia already imports American soybeans and LPG, and it can simply reframe those purchases as new deals. China did the same thing. Next, delay it. Tie it to future projects. Indonesia can say it'll buy American components for long-term projects like IKN or energy upgrades. Those projects won't start anytime soon. But does this strategy hold up? Well, yeah. Take steel, for example. Indonesia exports low-grade steel, but still imports high-quality types because it doesn't produce it. American exports of steel to Indonesia are minimal, making up only a tiny fraction of Indonesia's overall steel imports. So if Indonesia says, we'll lower tariffs on American steel, it sounds like a win, but doesn't really make a difference. Symbolic trade moves like tariff tweaks and headline deals are doable, and that's the point. But some American demands go deeper, and if Indonesia decides to tackle those real reforms, that's a much bigger challenge. For some changes, especially those that are affecting pricing and sourcing, Prabowo still needs support from industry groups. So that's why when and how you deliver matters just as much as what you promise. All of this points to one thing. Indonesia doesn't need to say no, it just needs to say yes strategically. So the bottom line, Trade pressure from America is back under Trump's second term, but Indonesia doesn't have to pivot its economy to meet American demands. It just needs a flexible strategy, one that signals cooperation without overcommitting. Trump may have written the art of the deal, but Indonesia has a chance to flip the script. It doesn't need to win every point. It just needs to make the right moves at the right time. That's the real art here. And just to be clear, some American demands point to reforms Indonesia genuinely needs. Fixing rules like TKDN and improving regulatory clarity and creating a more open investment climate could increase growth and investor confidence for Indonesia. But that doesn't mean rushing to buy more American goods just to make Trump happy with the trade balance. Indonesia should move fast on real reforms, but separate them from political pressure just to fix short-term numbers. Reforms matter, but they should be made because they help Indonesia, not just to meet Trump's demands.
I always say tariffs is the most beautiful word to me in the dictionary. Then I was reprimanded by the fake news. They said, what about love, religion, and God? I said, I agree.